Well, welcome everyone. We're so glad you joined us for our information session on the Procurement and Supply Chain Management program at UC Santa Cruz at our Silicon Valley Extension. Hope you're all doing well as we meet virtually. I kind of remember in past years we've had these on our campus in Santa Clara, but of course everything's virtual at this time, but we're so happy that you've joined us. Just a note to everyone, we want to keep this as informative as possible, but also informal. If you have questions at any time, please feel free to type them in the chat and one of us will address those and flag that. You're also welcome to unmute and ask through your audio feature if you prefer that. No need to wait till the end to ask questions. If something's on your mind, you have a comment or question, please share it at any time. We welcome that. So we have a number of really good business programs at our Silicon Valley Extension campus in the business and management department. You might be familiar with accounting, project management. Those are great programs. But a few years ago, we started procurement and supply chain management. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I'm happy to share with you tonight. Just a little bit about myself. I'm the program chair, and I'm the former director of procurement and supply chain for UC Santa Cruz. Left that position in 2019, and I just focus now on our program here that we're talking about tonight. Been in the business for over 30 years, which I guess that means I'm old, but it's been a great career field. I love supply chain. I think it's so rewarding, and it's a great time to be in it now. I also do other things, write books, and I speak. And I host a podcast, The Evolution of Procurement. I started that this past year. So you can see that I'm definitely maybe a geek, you might say, when it comes to procurement and supply chain. So I'm joined tonight by two colleagues on our faculty, and I really appreciate both of them for their contributions to the program and also for joining us tonight. Caleb Zhang is a managing partner for Alliance Solutions LLC. Caleb, you want to say hello and give a brief intro about yourself?
Yeah, sure. It's a great pleasure to meet with everybody tonight. And my name is Caleb Zhang, and I'm a member of the faculty team, and I'm glad to be able to share my experience with you. I've been in the Valley for about 30 years, and started with as an engineer, and later on, and start to work in the different departments of in the corporations, big or small, and in the last 15 years, I would say, so I spent most of my time in China working as an expat, and I used to be the general manager for a land research China operation in Suzhou, and also since then, and I've been doing a lot of consulting work, and also to be teaching. Pretty much the corporations, and I got my finger.
Caleb, looks like you froze up just a little bit. So jump in later when the connection comes back, but I appreciate the introduction. Caleb brings great experience, industry and high tech in the Silicon Valley, in China. He has international experience. He teaches a couple of our classes, and I know you're going to enjoy if you get a chance to enroll in one of those. So I'm also joined by a longtime friend and colleague, Nathan Mosley. Nathan is a sourcing manager for a company you may have heard of called Facebook. And Nathan, you want to tell a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, thank you, Darin. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. So as Darin said, we're old-time colleagues and more so friends, but as you talked about being old, I believe I'm just a couple years behind Darin, so I too am old. I have about 25 or 28 years of procurement, supply chain, sourcing experience, public and private sector, as Darin mentioned, currently with Facebook. Actually, Friday is my 3-year anniversary, which is a long time when you're talking about tech. So excited to be here. I'm currently on staff and I teach effective procurement strategies. So hopefully you, at some point in time, you guys will take the class and I get a chance to meet you. So thank you for the opportunity, Darin.
Thanks, Nathan. Nathan brings great energy and experience. Higher education. He was also with the University of California, San Francisco campus in sourcing and supply chain management. And we co-teach quite a bit in the area of diversity and inclusion in procurement, which we both strongly believe in. So for example, my sustainability or sustainable supply chains class, you'll hear from Nathan at some point during that class. So here's a quick agenda. We want to go through some prepared material, but then we also want to leave time for any questions or discussion that you may have. So we're going to talk a little bit about career-focused learning, the value of continuing education, and then our approach at UC Santa Cruz Silicon Valley Extension. We'll talk also about the industry that we see it. We all have worked in the industry and kind of have a feel of the pulse, if you will. We'll quickly go through some program details, the requirements if you do want to pursue the certificate in procurement supply chain management. Great resources and course planning with our staff and our administration at Silicon Valley Extension. And then any questions you have throughout. Again, I listed there at the end, and we'll definitely pause at the end for any questions. But at any time, if you have any questions, just let us know. So with that, I'm going to pause a little bit on our agenda. And are there any questions so far on any the things that we've covered or the agenda? Okay, it looks like that we're good to go. I just checked the chat, and you can drop a question or comment in there at any time. So career-focused learning, our programs that we provide throughout the business and management program provide the knowledge that you need to help you achieve your career goals. They kind of really take you to the next level. That's what we've seen with our students. That's what I've experienced. And the types of things that they enable us to do, advance in your current field. If you're already in supply chain, many of our students are, and they're looking to get a credential to take them to the next level. Some are making a career change. Some are going, say, from the sales retail industry into supply chain management. New opportunities, learn new skills. We're really focused on bringing you learning and skills that you can apply to your job. Sure, some of it's theoretical, but it's really practical, and I'm really proud of that. And also adding a professional credential to your resume. Okay, let's take a look at some things as far as the value of continuing education. These are some national trends, but I think our program in Santa Clara for UCSC definitely supports this. Okay, it improves your odds for success. That's what the research tells us, and the data tells a story that when you prepare yourself and invest yourself, it helps for future success. Supply chain programs were noted by the Wall Street Journal, this was a few years ago, as the hot new MBA. So that's pretty cool. So Nathan, you've been in the industry for many years, almost as much as I have, and we were never considered hot or trending. Is that a surprise to you?
Yeah, I saw that when I was reviewing the slides, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm part of something hot and trendy. That's good.
So that is good, by a credible source. Okay, some other statistics. These are from the Institute for Supply Management. So a professional certification can increase your earning capacity by 7%. Again, that's according to the data versus non-certified professionals or those without a credential. Finishing a college degree, of course, is important. Many of our students already have degrees, or maybe they're looking at a formal college degree in the future. That can increase your earning capacity by 20%. So that's a great investment. And again, we're just looking to help you invest in yourself. And again, our approach on putting the knowledge and the learning to work, our courses and our programs are taught by working professionals. So, Nathan works for Facebook. Caleb is working in the tech industry now. They're in the Silicon Valley. They apply real life cases and situations. That real world experience, I think, is invaluable. I've worked on the theory and the research side with academics. They may have a PhD, but they don't really work in supply chain management, and that's okay. We need them. Those are great friends and colleagues, but our program really focuses on knowledge that you can apply. We have current theory and practice. Our materials will reflect that, and we enable you to learn in a safe environment. Currently, everything is online, just like other institutions, but whether it's in a traditional classroom or online, we care about our students, and it's definitely a safe environment. Accommodating needs, let's talk a little bit about that. We offer individual courses to help you develop specific skills. So with that, Nathan, what type of skills, if I take your effective procurement class, what kind of skills can I bring away from that?
you'll have a great understanding on how contracting works, but more importantly, the solicitation before the contract. So we talk a lot about how you go about selecting which type of solicitation that you're going to use that will ultimately turn into the actual contract document. So we talk about those two entities. We talk about negotiations as well. So how do you get to the best pricing for you, your firm, or your company? And so those are some of the things that we touch on that you'll have a really good grasp on at the end of the class.
Okay. Thanks for that, Nathan. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from students in your class. We do have a couple of questions, so we're going to address those and take a pause. So Brad is asking total cost of the program. Our student services, who's on the line and is going to provide support there, is weighing in now about the total cost of the certificate and procurement and supply is around $6,000, but you don't pay the full cost up front. Of course, you enroll and you pay as you go. So thank you for that, Cynthia, that information. And the starting salary, the second part of your question, Brad, that varies in industry, but I can tell you that entry-level salaries for supply chain professionals that I hired in Santa Cruz were about $60,000, and the sky was the limit from there. And that's just one example of one industry. For example, the University of California has 10 campuses, and I've seen folks get in at an entry level and go to different opportunities and develop and advance, and they replace people like me. So right now, again, according to data, and I have more information than I'll share tonight, but because this is such a great question, but the salaries tend to be on the rise in supply chain management, and a lot of opportunities. This is across the country. So thanks for that question. Haley notes the background. You're welcome as far as providing the background. Yes, we are recording the presentation. It will be available, and the slides, Haley, happy to share with you as well. It looks like you're not able to stay for the full session. That's not a problem. Let's stay in touch either with student services or with myself, and you can find that information on our website. We can absolutely do that for you. Okay. And we'll just kind of noting and monitoring the chat here from Cynthia. If you don't hear back from us by the end of the week regarding the PowerPoint and recording, okay, you have an email extension at ucsc.edu. So thank you for that. Good information. Yeah, thanks for the questions. Appreciate those. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about accommodating your needs, the certificate programs, and in our case, procurement supply chain management. We help you develop in this industry and this discipline. We have evening and weekend classes that accommodate your busy schedule. Many of our students are working professionals, and so we try to be as flexible as we can with our schedule. And as I mentioned, all the classes are virtual at this point. We want to get back to classroom. I don't know about you, Caleb or Nathan. I love teaching in the classroom, having that connection. I'm not sure what that looks like and when. I'd love to get back to it in the future, but we're having a lot of success online as well. Caleb, was your connection, were you able to get back on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear you.
Just hear me? Yes, yes. For some reason the signal was bad for a moment. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Good to have you back. We were just talking about accommodating the needs of our students, and I miss the traditional classroom, although I love online teaching. Maybe someday we'll get back to both.
Yes, absolutely. So classroom is you can see students face to face, and you can see the body language, the facial, it's just more interactive. But the online program with the current pandemic situation, we also have a lot of success as well.
Great. So Haley, we'll check out the program. You're welcome, Haley. And thank you, Cynthia, for the web link there on the certificate program. You'll see a lot of what we're talking about tonight, but specific schedules, information, and resources there. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about supply chain management and what it is. I get asked this a lot. Even I think my own family says, hey, what is this field you work in? So if you look at the Institute for Supply Management, and we have their website there below, it's the identification, the acquisition, access, positioning, and also the management of the resources that any organization needs to attain their strategic objectives. So whatever it is the organization needs, procurement and supply chain helps support that. So the example, Nathan, with your company, Facebook, obviously they're a social media platform. They do a lot of good things, provide an avenue for people around the world. And Nathan's team in sourcing supports that. Just like if you worked for a university or a healthcare system or a high-tech industry. Caleb, anything you'd add to that definition?
Well, I think you said very well, and from pretty much covered every industry, and from the high-tech industry in Silicon Valley, especially the semiconductor, artificial intelligence, and this is a pretty good definition. And in a class, I would like to share some more in details with the live examples, the real-world applications, and this is great.
Great. One of the classes that Caleb teaches is the evolving role of supply chain, and you'll see this diagram probably and much more as he explains what supply chain management is all about. So I'll throw some career opportunities, some positions out there that I've worked at, and that I think my colleagues Caleb and Nathan have worked at. Feel free to chime in. These are just some examples. So if I get an accounting degree or certificate, those are great, although I'm a terrible accountant, but you go in to be an accountant or a senior accountant. In supply chain, it's much more varied. You could be a logistics manager to manage the transportation, a procurement specialist or a buyer. You can manage contracts, a small business program management or diverse businesses. There to the top right, warehouse specialist. That's actually where I started my career back in the 1980s. Back in the 1980s, when I had hair, I worked as a warehouse specialist. I loved it, and I loved the career, and it really took good care of me for 30 years. Nathan, anything you would add on the career opportunities that we're seeing here?
Yeah, the construction contract specialist. That's a field where you get into construction and you learn a lot of different elements, not just from construction perspective, but you also learn the procurement specialist part of it, the contract management part of it, because that's all kind of encompassing, and construction just being kind of the lead field of it. But all great opportunities, and the beautiful thing about it is that they're kind of interchangeable. So the more education and information that you obtain from one role can help you parlay yourself into another role. So it's a nice little profession to be in.
Very true, very true. And I do like the construction niche. I know there's a lot of positions and information on the slide here. Any questions about career opportunities or anything that you're seeing here? I'll pause just a second to see if anyone has a question. You can put it into the chat. Okay, great. We'll go ahead and keep moving on. Okay, some things about supply chain management, the field in general. I'll offer some comments here that we hear from industry leaders. Technology is evolving faster than ever. I think we all know that. We have our cell phones, iPhones. We're, automated ordering on Grubhub, and, it's just probably drone delivery of Grubhub in the future. I don't know. But anyway, technology, we all know, is advancing. Companies are using robotics, artificial intelligence, automated procurement systems, sustainable procurement systems, and practices are evolving. This includes diversification of spend with diverse suppliers, minority-owned, women-owned, as well as environmental-focused procurement initiatives. That's an area that I've worked in a lot. And just some thoughts here. This kind of gets to our earlier question. So last year, salaries increased an average of 3.2%. This is a national average in supply chain management in all sectors. And depending on education experience, supply chain professionals, again, these are some averages, 75 to 90,000 a year. Entry-level salaries may be slightly lower than that, depending on the industry, and also the part of the country that you work in. If you work in the area of the Silicon Valley, salaries are higher, for example, than if you went to maybe a southern state or in North Dakota. But North Dakota needs supply chain managers too. So New York, of course, is a high salary area, but I have a lot of salary surveys. I study this every year because I think it's important to be compensated fairly, and that supply chain is recognized in this area. Another great question by Brad. Do you think all of the procurement jobs are headed overseas and will not be in the United States anymore? Some of them are going overseas, Brad. There's some outsourcing and offshoring efforts. Sometimes like in tech support, for example, we might see this in IT help desk. But the procurement and supply chain management jobs, in a way, become more in demand and more important when we do outsourcing initiatives. For example, when Nathan and I both worked together in Portland, we did an outsource for a maintenance contract for 100 school locations. And while we did that outsource contract, kind of put more importance in our camp to do the contract correctly. And that was the role of procurement and supply chain. So again, we deal with this question a lot. There are some jobs that are going to other parts of the world. That's kind of a pendulum swing we've seen, or I've seen in my 30 years. Sometimes they go over there, then when they come back, we call that nearshoring, or maybe I bring it back in my company to perform the work and I don't outsource it. But there's been a lot of investment in supply chain, and I think a lot of it's going to stay domestically here in the US. And I do think the jobs and job opportunities in the United States will continue in supply chain. Caleb, your thoughts on Brad's question, because you have more international experience than I do.
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and I just want to add a little bit on the whatever Darin mentioned. After the COVID, or during the COVID, we started to realize the importance of the supply chain issue has become national security issue. Especially remember those masks, ventilators, and stuff like that. We just can't put ourselves in a risk, like we have to depend on another country, and we can see this through the pandemic. After the pandemic, after COVID, and I think the landscapes they're going to change. Some of the works are going to stay, like Darin said, stay in the States. On a critical path for public safety and all of those things, and also some high-tech jobs, supply chains, and put more challenge in the supply chain, especially global supply chain. That's one of the courses that I teach, and we'll look at it differently, and actually bring more opportunities and visibilities to the corporation for the supply chain management. And in the C-suite, people look at the supply chains totally different from what it before. And it's no longer just a procurement. It's talking about the integrity and also the future growth. And it's getting more and more visibility. And from the national, the global chain supply chains standpoint, I think this is much more opportunities that we never seen that before. That means more, especially with some people with different background, and you join the supply chain. And I think the salary numbers probably going to change significantly in the Silicon Valley in the next few years.
Okay, thanks, Caleb, for your insights, and Brad, thanks for that great question. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the program and supply chain. And really our goal is to prepare you for success for careers in procurement and supply chain. Again, if you're already working in the field, or if you're looking to advance in that field. Now, some of our students have a bachelor or associate's degree. Some have came to the table with MBAs. That's quite impressive. But whatever your educational background is, you can be a valued member of our student body. And again, shifting career fields. And again, what you can expect as a student is to learn from industry professionals, engaging in classroom discussions, even in the virtual environment, current industry articles, what's going on. We're always looking for and adding relevant case studies with our own experience or with others. We stay up on the supply chain news. And here's a scary thing on maybe Nathan, is that we also read the procurement and supply chain magazines that come out there. There's a lot of cool publications, and actually a lot of them are free. So we stay up on what's going on in supply chain and share that with you. So Nathan, I know you're a subscriber to Procurement Magazine, right?
Absolutely. Your articles are in there on a monthly basis. So I try to keep up with the news because, you're providing it. So
yeah. Yeah, that's it's kind of funny. That's the type of magazine. If you're flying on an airplane, nobody really asks, "Can I read the Procurement Magazine?" We don't get any respect, but I like them nonetheless. So you'll read a lot of articles. We bring practical information to the class, so that's actually a lot of fun. Okay, the certificate requirements. There's 6 required classes, 2 electives. Admission requirements. You enroll as a student, and as mentioned earlier by Cynthia, you pay as you go in the program. Some take specialized classes in negotiation, sustainability. Some students say, no, I'm in it and I want to earn the certificate. That's great. We welcome all of that. Academic requirements, you can see the GPA and our grading, 3 years time to complete, but really less than 12 months or less, we're seeing folks complete the program. And at any rate, there's some trade-specific certifications. I'll just mention here real quickly at the bottom. These letters kind of get to be confusing, but it's important to note that professional programs like the Certified Professional in Supply Management, the CPSM, you might see that with supply chain professionals. That's earned through an exam through the Institute for Supply Management. So that's not the same as our certificate. Our certificate is a standalone, a very credible certificate from an accredited institution, University of California. So you'll receive that. But there's other programs available. And in some of our classes, we'll talk about those because students may earn our certificate and then go on to take a professional certification exam like you would for a CPA. And we can help you with that if you're interested. Okay, we have a question from Simon. So we're going to pause here. Question about APIC certification, such as CPSM. Do you recommend getting APIC certification at some point? Do they provide advantages? I do think they provide advantages. Some of the statistics, Simon, that we talked about earlier, increasing your earning capacity or increasing your marketability as a supply chain professional, that will definitely help. For example, I hold the CPSM, and that's issued by the Institute for Supply Management. And when I took the supply chain director position at Santa Cruz, that certification definitely helped me with that position. So I do think they're worth pursuing. If I turned back the clock and I was, a 26-year-old professional, I would enroll in the UC Santa Cruz procurement certificate program, and then later I would pursue professional certification. And what Simon's talking about is the American Production and Inventory Control Society, known as APICS. They have some great certifications. ISM does. There are other professional institutions, both in Canada and in the United States. There's too many out there to talk about tonight, but they, regardless of which program you align with that fits best for you and your career choices, absolutely, I would say the answer is yes, they do provide advantages. So thank you for that question. Okay, just a quick look at the required classes as well as some of the electives. So there on the left, the required include evolving role of supply chain manager. It's taught by Caleb. Logistics and transportation management. How do we get it from here to there? Operations management. We have qualified industry professionals, including Caleb, that teach this one. Effective procurement strategies. If you take this class, you're going to get to know Nathan, and he does a great job. Technology impacts, we have a class focused on that. And then the class that I teach that I'm very passionate about is sustainable supply chain strategies, where we talk about closed loop supply chains, how we can protect the environment, how we can pass on to the next generation, as corporations and leaders in our community, and also how we diversify our spend and include suppliers of all types. Let's see, the electives there on the right. Outsourcing and contract management is actually a class offered through our project management program, but that will count and qualify for our certificate program. Managing global supply chains and decision and data analytics. How do we use data to make good decisions in supply chain management? Great classes. And the ones with the asterisks are existing classes in other program areas. So, for example, the role of the project manager, that's very helpful, very relevant to procurement, a lot of crossover there, negotiations and others. So we're very flexible. So as I mentioned before, we have a great team of student services for Silicon Valley Extension, can help you know about your options, what programs are out there, whether they're specifically in our supply chain program or there's others that might benefit you. And Cynthia is putting in the chat some very, I hope, valuable links, the classes that are coming up for effective procurement, the strategies that Nathan will be teaching, and then the sustainable supply chain strategies. You can take a look at those links and see what's included in those classes. I hope you I hope you like what you see. Okay, resources online. Obviously, you can visit our webpage if you haven't already. A lot of great information on there. You can request information. You can reach out to our staff to get more of your questions answered. You can see the current course catalog. What do you need for certificates, including ours, the information, how to enroll, our policies. There's quite a bit of information online. We put it out there to make it easy for you to learn about our programs and see which ones might fit for you. Caleb, we kind of went through that, and then we're going to open it up for more questions and discussion, but anything you would add, Caleb? Anything I might have missed? That's not unusual.
No, I think you covered pretty well, and Nathan also gave some inputs, and I think let's open up for the questions that our audience can ask. We can all pitch in.
That sounds good. That sound good to you, Nathan?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we appreciate everyone's attendance. Those are our prepared material that we wanted to share. We wanted to leave time for Q&A, discussion, any follow-up that you might need. You have myself as program chair, as well as two of our faculty members here to assist you. We also have Cynthia from Student Services if it's related to a policy or a program area in her department. So feel free to chime in or ask any questions in the chat. Okay, well, Cynthia, I'm not seeing any questions pop up, and maybe we, I hopefully covered our program and what we offer and what we can offer students out there interested in supply chain.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you to all of our instructors for joining, and thank you for all of you for having our awesome info session. As instructor Darin has mentioned, if you decide you have any questions after the webinar and you forgot to ask them, you can forward them to Student Services. I've linked our email address in the chat. And we can forward, if you have a specific question for a specific instructor, we can also forward those to the instructors and we can get their responses to you. So if there are no, oh, I think I just checked the chat and there are some that came up, Instructor Darin. Okay,
great. Thank you. Okay, Brad asked about procurement magazines to subscribe to. Let's see, there's a couple called, one's called Logistics Management. It's a magazine. You can get it online or you can get it in printed form if you prefer that. They do both, and that's absolutely free. They have a lot of good industry trends, articles, surveys annually. So I would recommend that one, Brad. There's also, if the public sector is appealing, there's a magazine that I write for. It's called Government Procurement. And it's published by Penton Media, and it comes out every other month. It's totally free, again, digital or printed version. Feel free to reach out to me or Student Services. We can put you in context. I can actually send you links for these, make it really easy to sign up. I'm pretty frugal. My kids will tell you that, and I like free. It's a good deal. They're really good publications. There's others that you can pay for, but those are really good ones. Okay, Martin asked another great question, a preview of the project manager course in a nutshell. Sure, Martin, there's a separate program and a separate certificate program for project management. There's kind of a, if you take the class called the role of the project manager, you will see how a project manager interacts with procurement, how they develop a work scope. They use project management techniques to manage their project, keep it on budget and on schedule, and some leading trends in project management. So that's it in a nutshell. Definitely can send you more information You can, we have, of course, on the website, or put you in touch with Frank, our project manager chair. He's my counterpart. But if you are interested in supply chain and you take that one class from them, I think you'll find it very powerful. So that's, project management, great to interact. A couple other comments. Lisa, thank you. Very helpful to introduce supply chain management. Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate your comments and appreciate your attendance. Jessica has a good question. In achieving closed loop systems, is this more heavy focus now in the classes? Let's see. It's covered very thoroughly in sustainable supply chain strategies, Jessica. And closed loop, say for companies, if I'm using suppliers, I want them to not just give me a product, I use it, and then I toss it into the landfill. I want them to have some kind of buyback program, recycling, refurbish, or reuse that we want to see in closed loop supply chains. So I wouldn't say that's a heavy focus, but we do cover that in one or two of the classes. And sustainable supply chain strategies is 5 evening classes, and we will learn about closed loop as one area, but we'll also learn about many other areas like reverse logistics and sustainability. Did someone have a comment? I'm sorry. Okay, and thank you for that question. Let's see, and then Simon asked about how many classes are required for the certificate. There's 6 required classes, Simon, and then 2 electives of your choice. And we're happy to provide either the recording or information on the slides. We can give you a list of those classes. Happy to do it. So there's 6 required. And let's see. Lisa, thank you all. Very informative, helpful. Good to hear that, Lisa. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight. Let's got a few more questions. We really appreciate these. Haley notes, I'm a recent grad and have been working in supply chain management since June of last year. Would you recommend this certificate to someone who has already been working in supply chain but is very new to the career? I would, Haley, definitely, and I consider your role to be really ideal. Already working in supply chain, looking to develop your skills, your abilities, your knowledge of supply chain practices, and then develop and advance in the field. So yeah, if you're new to the career field, I think our program can help you, also give you some great industry contacts, both our faculty members and our guest speakers. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, and thank you. You'll see that Cynthia has actually put in the chat, Simon, the total required courses and the units that are required for both the core or the required courses and the electives. So thank you for that. Lisa has another question. Are there any professional associations you would recommend joining or following up with information? I would. Depending on the sector that you work in, Lisa, I think the Institute for Supply Management, ISM, they're a professional organization that supports and promotes supply chain management. They're based out of Tempe, Arizona, but they have an affiliate in the Silicon Valley you can join. It's called ISM Silicon Valley. There are other, for public sector or higher education, those are the sectors that I've worked in most recently. They're also the Institute for Public Procurement. They're based out of Virginia. They're a good organization I'm a member of. And then also for higher education, the National Association of Educational Procurement. So I think, I've been involved with many professional associations. I've benefited greatly from them. They'll probably ask you to serve on a committee once you've been to a few meetings, but that's okay. But I do think they're professional associations. And if you have questions or you find those, Lisa, reach out to me. I'm easily found on our website for Silicon Valley Extension. I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn. So reach out to me if there's additional information I can provide. Okay, Jessica. Awesome. We like to hear the word awesome. That's great. The sustainable push is great. I've heard of Mushroom Leather Company in Bay Area. Okay, Mushroom Leather Company, excuse me. Martin, thank you, Darin, Caleb, and Nathan. You're welcome, Martin. Thank you. Very helpful from Haley. Okay. Agape, Kim, are there other introductory courses about supply chain management that are recommended? Let's see, the one I would recommend, that we typically recommend, is a class that Caleb teaches. It's called Evolving Role of Supply Chain Management. Kind of gives you just a really good overview of supply chain in the career field. And if you're going to pursue the certificate program, great, but that would be, it's not required. I mean, we have students take that out of sequence, but for a first one, that would be ideal. Caleb, you want to say anything about that class? I think it's a rather good one.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's us, and somebody is interested to get into, and I'll go over the market, especially the job market, the career advancements. I look at I'll probably gonna give you some ideas about how your peers look at you, how the C-suite look at you. Because I'm a general manager for several big, small companies. When I started to promote somebody internally, actually supply chain is probably the first one I look at it, because they know the business, they know, they work with several functions of the business. And definitely, if you're talking about the corporate ladder you want to climb, this is probably the good spot to begin. And if you have some other field experience, and whatever the field is, business, accounting, engineering, finance, doesn't matter. So, and you will definitely gonna hear a lot more from the real world. So this is I have to say, this is a great class, and I do some advertise for myself. Yeah. Thank you, Darin.
No, you're welcome. No, Kansas does a great job with this class, and you can see there in the chat, January 12th is the next class for Evolving Role of Supply Chain Management. Click on the link and you can find more information, including how to register and what the class is all about.
Yeah, looking forward to see Agape, if you like to join us.
Yeah,
that would be wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks, Caleb.
Hey, so Nathan, I just want to interject real quick and just say something in regards to the program itself. If you're on the fence, if you should join, I want to put a plug in, not because I'm an instructor in one of the classes, but I just think the overall program, very positive experience, very well thought through, and ran. So if you're on the fence and you're just not quite sure, you got three of the people who are going to lecture you and talk to you within the program. Taking time on a Wednesday evening goes to show you the dedication and appreciation for the program. So you can sit on the fence or jump off and enjoy the grass that you fall into. So I would suggest you do that. I try to bring levity to the class that I teach. And like Darin talks about, the life experiences. So you'll hear stories from me about working at Facebook, working with Darin. But it's just stuff that you're going to be able to use immediately. And that's what one of the students told me at the end of last term was, thank you for the information. I know I can take this back to my day-to-day work and use it right now. So there you have it. That's my plug. Not just myself.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Nathan. Thank you. The other class, Agape, that in addition to Caleb's class, Nathan teaches effective procurement strategies. So if I were a new buyer and I was only going to take one or two classes, I would probably put that in there as well. So you have a link to the courses there. Lisa says, thanks, looking forward to reaching out. We'd love to hear from you, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, Agape. Brad says, what does Facebook buy? Nathan's a sourcing manager. They do a lot of construction contracts and build data centers. So he works with a lot of businesses, large and small. Nathan, anything you would add to that?
Yeah, so if you're on Facebook or if you're on LinkedIn or you use Amazon, data centers are where the information is stored. And so Facebook, we build data centers. That's what we do. And we run ads. That's what our CEO once said to the city. So that's what Facebook does. So my role is I actually buy equipment that goes into the data centers. So it's really large equipment, but it's equipment nonetheless.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Brad. And then you can see Nathan's course starts February 17th, and a link there click on that and visit our website, find out more about that. You're welcome again, Agape. Thank you for the questions and for your participation. Okay, Cynthia, looks like a lot of great questions. Wow. Looks like the questions have kind of have came to an end. Anything else that we want to share with the students?
I just want to say, whatever decision you make, good luck to you, and hopefully we'll see you in class.
Yeah, same thing here. And great discussion, and looking forward to see hopefully all of you or some of you are interested in my class, and they'll definitely give you some real world experience that you can use in your daily life.
Thank you, everyone. And as
Yeah.
mentioned before, all the presentation slides as well as the recording will be emailed to you in the following days. If you don't hear back, make sure to email us at extension@ucsc.edu, as well as any follow-up questions that you have.
Great. Thank you, Cynthia. Really appreciate the support. Well, that's what we have for tonight. I can't thank you all enough for joining us. You can tell we love supply chain. We love talking about it, and we hope to hear from you. Thank you all, and best wishes to each of you in 2021. Please stay safe.
All right.
Great time, everyone.
Bye.